Hello guys, thank you for coming to my channel. This is your boy UG, and today I'll be talking about one of the topics that I presented to you guys on my last video. Today's topic will be on slavery. Now, slavery is a very controversial topic, and we know slavery has been going on, ages and ages ago, even back in the day in the Bible. When you have, two countries, you have like maybe the Israelites, fight against the Palestinians. If they win, the losers are actually the prisoners of war, and the prisoners of war serve as slaves. They do the hard work for the country that won. So the same meaning still goes down or boils down to this day or this present age, which, hasn't really changed and stuff like that. Now, particularly when we are talking about black slavery or the slavery that took place in Africa, there are a couple of questions that I'm going to answer today. Now, the first one, how did it begin? I don't know how many of you have actually thought about this question before, but how did it begin? I'll try to answer that to the best of my knowledge and the effects it had on Africa as a whole. Now, first of all, how did it begin? Now, there are two major things that happened back in the day that actually brought about slavery. First was the navigation of Africa. Second was the Black Plague that took place in Europe. Now, when I mean Europe, I mean countries like Italy, Germany, France, Britain, Russia as well. Um, Now, I do understand that Russia is divided between, the Asia and also part of Europe, but this plague actually did affect Russia. Now, first off, I will start off by saying the Black Plague. Now, this event actually took place during the 16th century and also into the 17th century, where the Black Plague, also known as the Black Death, wiped almost half of a country's population due to no vaccination and stuff like that to take care of it. Now, because of this, the countries affected lost manpower. We are talking about farm power, people to work in the farms, work in the factories and stuff like that. Now, because of that, the European countries needed to find a way to get more people into their farms. Now, the other part was navigation into Africa. Now, the first person recorded to navigate Africa was known as Henry the Navigator. He was Portuguese and he actually did his navigation during the 15th century. And with that being done, most European countries actually did have a little bit of a map of North Africa and what it looked like, and countries, to go to and stuff like that. And North Africa, we have countries like Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria. And actually, on the map, which I'm going to present to you today, you will notice that Spain and Morocco are actually pretty close to each other. Give or take 300 miles. That's if you're going to drive. But unfortunately, there's a body of water, a sea that actually blocks both countries and actually both continents at the same time. So those were the two events that actually brought about, the slavery period. Now, after these European countries noticed, the countries in Africa, and they noticed that they were superior, they had more technology advancements and stuff like that, they decided to invade Africa. Now, how this affected Africa in general. When these guys came to Africa, they actually posed as friends. They brought with them goods. When I mean goods, like salt, sugar, gunpowder, things like that. Things Africans didn't know about, things that they don't have. You know, Back then Africans didn't even know how to, get the seawater, boil it to have salt and stuff like that. So because the Europeans were more technologically advanced, they brought those things and enticed like the clan leaders, which are known as chiefs or the tribal headsmen. They enticed them with these gifts. They'll tell them, hey, do you want to be our friend? If you are our friend, we'll help you with any war that you're going to fight. Or if you become our friend, we will give you this salt. Or if you become our friend, we'll give you this salt. Now, anytime a tribe goes to war in Africa, back then, when they go to war, just like in the olden days, when they win the war, the enemies are their prisoners. Now, these prisoners, the colonial masters, that was the name given to the Europeans who came to Africa at the time. These colonial masters will, talk to the clan's head and say, "Hey, your prisoner of war, just give us that person who will give you gunpowder." Then the person will agree. And that was how the slavery began. And these slaves were being shipped to Europe. Now, at the same time, there was another system. Now, this part was told to me, growing up, I've heard stories about this. Now, the Europeans, what they did in this particular story was basically they will go to the clan leader, tell the clan leader, hey, if you have a war to fight, we will fight with you, because at the time they all had guns like bayonets and stuff like that. And now, if you go to war, we'll fight with you. What you win or what you get, we divide it in half. So there, because of that, it brought about clan wars, tribal wars, and there was a lot of those. And at the same time, countries like Belgium, Italy, Germany, Britain, France, they all decided to make friends with different clans. Now, another thing, Africans, we are more interested in land area, because the larger your land is, the more space for your people to grow. Now, the Italians or Germans or British, whatever, country, or whatever European country, they would try to make friends with a clan leader, make them go to war, so that if the clan leader wins, the clan leader who is more interested in the land gets the land, but the other resources, like gold or diamond and stuff like that, they would take it. And because of that, it brought about so many issues. So the Germans were indirectly fighting the British, or the Germans were indirectly fighting the French, because the French have friends, with one of the clans, and the Germans are friends with one another clan, and they force the two clans to fight, and whichever one wins takes over the other one. Now, this actually brought out about a situation called the Berlin Conference. I will leave the Berlin Conference, as a separate topic of its own for a different video, because that was actually what brought about the colonialism of Africa, or the scramble of Africa as we Africans know it. Now, that would be a separate video on its own. So, apart from that, so slavery became a huge market, for the Europeans. Now, it was so big that slaves were deemed as commodities. When I mean commodities, I mean like, if you sell somebody, you get money, right? So, the higher the number of slaves you have, the more money or the richer you get. So, you have people from Spain coming in, they take people, they sell them, or they ship them to a different country and stuff like that. Now, according to my research, I just noticed that there was a data that said that the first slaves ever brought to the United States was brought in the year I'm sorry, they were brought in the year 1526 by Spanish explorers, and that is actually true. Just like I showed you guys previously on the map, Spain is pretty close to Morocco. So I don't doubt that. So yeah. So the more slaves that these people sold, the more money they made. Then you now have pirates and stuff like that. That's how they all came about. I mean, pirates have been going on for a longer time, but now you have more pirates like on the Atlantic Ocean, during the transatlantic slave trade period. Now this transatlantic slave trade period will be a whole different video of its own, because that will show countries slaves were taken to and stuff like that. So with that being said, so that is how, and this is how slavery actually began, how it began, the effects it had in Africa. People were selling each other, basically humans, the European colonial masters and stuff, selling other people to make money and also to further their cause. Now, after this, that was how it all started. Then my next video, I'm torn between two topics. One is the transatlantic slave trade, then the other one is the the Berlin conference. Now, because these two topics, all had an effect in both ways and both parties. So, with that being said, thank you so much, guys, and I'm so happy for anyone that have watched this video. If you have any comments, please, like as usual, subscribe, comment below. If you dislike the video, do the same. Comment below, and we'll talk about it. And thank you so much, guys. And it was wonderful talking to you guys today. Bless you.